Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is lukemick here, as opposed to, I don't know who, Mick Luke or something. You know, he's been locked in the boiler room for going on 6 months now. He's probably a bag of bones by now. The fucking loser. Okay, jokes aside, all of the jokes aside, this video is going to be focused on, of course, as you read, Vinegar Syndrome, my top 3 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases of the year 2021 so far, because we're only halfway through the year and not even halfway through the amount of titles they're going to be releasing this year. Now, I'm making this video now because upon us is the halfway to Black Friday sale on Vinegar Syndrome's website. This is one of the 2 times of the year where you can become a subscriber to get all of their or most of their releases for the rest of the year. You get 50% off a lot of items, excluding releases from March, April, and May. Hey everyone, I'm just in the editing process right now, but I do have to provide you all with an update because there have been some changes since I recorded this video. Vinegar Syndrome has announced that the February 2021 releases will not be on sale for this halfway to Black Friday sale. Historically, they have been, but this year they will not be. The January 2021 releases will be on sale, but February up until today will not be on sale, which is really unfortunate because the 3 films in my top 3 are either February, March, or April releases. So the 3 films that I'm highlighting in this video will not be on sale, but stick around to the end because I will give a couple of brief suggestions and recommendations of other limited edition versions of Vinegar Syndrome films that will still be in stock and they will be 50% off. So stay tuned to the end if you're looking to get discounted prices on any of their limited editions that they still have on their store. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Enjoy the rest of the video, everybody. And just a whole bunch of other fun stuff. If you want to see a video that's all about everything you can expect from the halfway to Black Friday sale, whether you're a newbie or a veteran or just need a bit of a refresher, you can check out cmooremovies, who recently posted a very extensive breakdown as to what you can expect from the sale and what you should look out for. So if you're looking for an informative video to guide you as to how you should correctly and successfully navigate through the halfway to Black Friday sale, I would check that video out. But if you're looking for some film recommendations of their 2021 slate so far, then you're in the right place. Now let's start with my number 3 pick for the year. It is Hitcher in the Dark. This is a film directed by Umberto Lenzi, actually, of all people. I'm going to lay this right here. Perfect. Ta-da, doesn't it look beautiful? I love the slip, by the way. The blue and the red goes just mamma mia, perfect together, right? This is directed by Umberto Lenzi, though, famous Italian exploitation horror action filmmaker. This was more of a film towards the end of his career in the late 80s. It's called Hitcher in the Dark. It came out in 1989, and I haven't seen the film 1986's The Hitcher, but I'm assuming that this film's title is trying to cash in on the success of that film. I haven't seen The Hitcher, so I can't really compare them and tell you how similar they are, but that's just what I'm assuming was the business tactics and strategy behind the making of this film. Now, this film is about a young man who is driving around in an RV on spring break in the Virginia Beach area, and he is stalking and preying on lone girls, taking them into his RV, giving them a ride, and of course, as you could expect, he kills them. But when he comes across a particular girl whose name I cannot remember, he becomes sort of infatuated with her, and she reminds him so much of his deceased mother. So the film from there turns into this sort of stalker turned abduction film where he is holding this girl hostage in his RV while moving around different parts of Virginia during spring break, and he's avoiding the law, avoiding this girl's boyfriend, and that's essentially what the film is about. Now, Hitcher in the Dark tonally is a kind of odd film because the subject matter is undoubtedly grim and dark and really terrible, but it also has so many interactions between characters and so many lines of dialogue and edits that are just hilarious and I think unintentionally bad and funny. The acting in Hitcher in the Dark is not good, but I found that the mental struggle of the lead character was oddly captivating and pretty interesting. He's a character that has a lot of stuff deep down, a lot of demons that he is trying to suppress, and the performance that this actor gives, I don't even know his name, is just, it's one of the charming, sort of silly things about the film. I like the locale a lot too. It just is a very, like, muggy, gross filming location. There's, like, marshes and swamps pictured in the film, and it just has this really nice feel, and it's sleazy. It's a really sleazy movie that is very exploitative. If you're not into exploitation filmmaking, then this one is probably not for you, but it also has these very dark elements and a very dark subject matter, and at times the film did make me feel uneasy and sort of disturbed by the actions carried out by this lead psychopath stalker character. I don't even remember the boy's name. The boy with the RV. You know, I'm having a hard time pinpointing exactly what I like about this film. I guess I just like how unabashedly sleazy and trashy it is. I like how it stars one of my good friends, Ty, and I like how it has scenes like this.
Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing?
So I'm a son of a bitch, am I?
Listen, I couldn't swear by it because I just took a hit of acid, but I think I saw her getting a camper at the campground entrance.
It was just a really fresh release from Vinegar Syndrome. They don't do too many films like this, and coming from such a prolific filmmaker, it was just really nice to see that filmmaker tackle this sort of film, especially this late in his career. And also I would like to point out, if you're a fan of cover art for Blu-ray releases and alternate cover art, this is a great release because you get the slipcover, which is a new and unique creation by the Vinegar Syndrome team and their artists or contractors or what have you. We also get this seemingly original piece of art here, and I'll take this out for just a moment here, but there also seems to be another original poster promotional material as an alternate artwork. So instead of just having the slipcover design as another one of these, as the reversible, it gives us 3 separate pieces of poster art to display with this release, which is great if you're into that sort of thing like I am. Now, before we move on to my number 2 pick, I would just like to point out, for good measure, a film, for example, that I really didn't like that's been released in the year 2021. This is definitely my least favorite release that they've put out so far. It's just a film that I could not get on board with. I felt almost complete and utter disdain for it, and that is Last Gasp. I don't want to talk much about this film, but I'm not saying stay away from it, because these Vinegar Syndrome releases are so subjective. I don't like this film, but it could very easily be someone else's favorite or one that they hold to a pretty high regard. Personally, I just did not enjoy it at all. It just felt gross and it was boring. It stars Robert Patrick of Terminator 2, and he plays the sort of villain of this movie. He is the villain, I should say. He's not really the lead. The lead is actually Joanna Pakula, who I don't know. But this is the cover. It just is, I don't know. This movie just didn't do it for me. It's really mid-90s. It is super choppy in the way that the story is structured, and it jumps between lead. You don't know who the lead character is until like 35 minutes into the movie, and in a pretty bad way. It's not like everything else leading up to that was interesting. It was just all very dull to me. Not a big fan of Last Gasp. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say, you know, that's a release that I didn't like it, but hey, if you liked Last Gasp and want to tell me, let me know down below, because I'd be really interested to meet a fan of Last Gasp. Now, coming in at my number 2 spot is a pretty fresh release from Vinegar Syndrome. All American Murder. We'll stand it up right there. This film, as you can see right on the front there, stars Mr. Christopher Walken, famed actor, of course. You all probably know who that man is. And this film is about a college student who's shuffled around a bunch of schools. He's kind of a troublemaker, but he goes to a new college because his dad is a lawyer, and he says, "Son, you gotta straighten up. You're an embarrassment. I'm sending you to this strict private college in Iowa," or some state like that. And within his first week at attending this new college, he meets one of the most popular girls at school, a beautiful blonde who is in a sorority. She gets straight A's. She's just the perfect student, total prom queen material, and he goes out on a date with her and things go pretty well, and he's actually finding a place for himself at this school.
When all of a sudden this girl is lit on fire and she flies off a balcony and dies. And he is there when it happens,
And the entire school thinks it's him. The police are after him. They think it's an open and closed case, that he did it because look at his history. He's the perfect suspect. And Christopher Walken is the lead detective who doesn't truly believe that Artie was responsible for killing this girl. And the film is essentially Artie and Christopher Walken most of the time working together, trying to figure out who is really responsible for the death of this girl. This film was really refreshing because it had so many different aspects of the type of releases that Vinegar Syndrome does. So many things all in one movie. It's got some brutal, violent, gory kills and deaths, which is something that you would hope for in a release from Vinegar Syndrome. It has really bad writing that's just hilarious. It has a super 80s music and soundtrack. It has a story that has a lot of twists and turns that's always captivating. It's a really interesting film that technically is, pretty corny, pretty bad stuff, but it's a really enjoyable watch overall. The direction of the narrative and the plot and the mystery and investigation surrounding this case is super engaging, and it goes into a lot of different areas. There are tons of twists and turns, and I was always really surprised and intrigued by the next move the film was making. The script is hilarious. Christopher Walken in particular gets a couple of just incredibly insane, out there, just really questionable monologues that are so funny. Of course, with the typical Christopher Walken delivery.
There's this angel on the rug, naked, wants to see my badge.
And the whole film just has this weird tone. Like, it has some pretty violent, extreme moments, but then it also gets very lighthearted. The lead actor, his name is Charlie something, I don't know his last name, but the character of Artie is actually really enjoyable, and I think he plays well off of Christopher Walken in every scene that they're in together. He's in it far more than Christopher Walken is, so you're gonna have to enjoy his screen presence to really enjoy this film, but I feel like he had a very charismatic presence in this film and was really able to embody this character and make him likable. And it was just a really fun time. It felt like some sort of extended episode of Scooby-Doo or something, especially by the end of the film. I watched this with Nancy, and she's like, that was kind of like Scooby-Doo, and I was like, yeah, that was like a Scooby-Doo episode. That was awesome. And yeah, there's just really a lot to love about this film. It's soap opera-y, it's got good mystery, it's got good horror elements, good humor. It just is the whole shebang. There's just a lot to really love about this film. As I'm talking about it, I'm of course showing you the cover art. This is the alternate artwork I have on here, and the other artwork is just the same as the slipcover. And that is All American Murder. So this is a film that I think overall people have really been enjoying. I haven't really heard anybody say anything negative about it in the groups and forums that I keep my eye on. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was pretty great. Here's the back here, a little bit of a deceased body there. And we are here at my number one favorite Vinegar Syndrome release of the year so far. It is Death Promise. That's Promise. Death Promise is a 1970s martial arts action revenge film set in New York, and this film was honestly such a pleasant surprise for me when it was announced. I was like, okay, it's an action movie, it's a martial arts movie, seems pretty, generic, and maybe it is in ways, but I felt that there was so much to love about this film. I just want to read to you the back here. Filthy rich landlords get away with murder. It's time they pay for it. That really is a perfect tagline for this film. There aren't many better ways to sum up what you're going to get out of Death Promise. Now, Death Promise is about a community of people that live in a pretty rundown apartment complex in New York, and this company, Iguana Realty, wants to tear down this building and build all new condos or apartments. So it's in a good location and it's going to be a moneymaker, but they got to get rid of these poor people and kick them out of their homes. And of course, our lead characters who know martial arts are going to stop at nothing to stop this company from tearing down their home. I love Death Promise's really clear 3-act structure. We have the introduction and the tragedy. We move into the training montage and preparation. And of course, the 3rd act, we have the revenge, where everyone who has wronged these people are going to get what's coming to them. Now, right off the bat, I just knew that I loved the characters and the setting of this film. We have Charlie, who is a young man who is training in martial arts, and his best friend Speedy, who is also training in martial arts. They're so close, they're almost like brothers. And of course, we have Charlie's father, this older, big talking, like, those bastards aren't gonna kick us out of our house. I love that New York stereotype of everyone being angry and yelling at each other. And
all of you bastards! Get electricity! Get water! Gas!
I just get such a kick out of those attitudes and characters in movies, and this film just starts off with a lot of that, and I loved that about it right from the get-go. I was like, okay, Death Promise is for me. I really like this. I just felt really invested in the characters and their relationship and their plight with their fear of being kicked out of their homes. It's a very straightforward, generic story, of course, but I felt instantly connected with it. I was like, okay, I can get on board with this. Now, the filmmaking and the choreography is very amateur. It's not a film that feels like All-American Murder, where it feels pretty professionally done. The shots are in focus, it's edited well, you have fine performances, there's a script that has okay dialogue. Death Promise is a film that feels very low budget, very amateur, and not made by fully professional filmmakers. It's a very rough film, and one of the biggest issues that I'd say it has is that the performers, Charlie, Speedy, and anyone else who does martial arts in the film, it's clear that these people know what they're doing. Like, their fighting looks good. Like, it looks like these are people who are at least experienced for a number of years in martial arts. It's just the way that it's filmed and the way it's choreographed in this film, where things don't always look very convincing and sometimes they just look a little awkward and goofy. And that's part of the charm of the film, is seeing these fights that have cool things happening, but they're not exactly being executed the correct way for a film camera to make it look real. But that's something that I enjoyed about it, and it's something that I was able to easily get past. But just know that this is not like Bruce Lee level choreographed fight scenes. This is a bit on a lower tier, but I still found it to be really charming and really fun to watch. I also love the middle portion of the film when Charlie goes off to train with a martial arts master. He's meant to be an old man, but he's clearly just like a 30-year-old guy with like gray or silver paint in his hair to make him look like an older man. And then the set and the dojo, if you will, feels so cheap and so just under-decorated that it's just a really funny and charming set for a movie. I really like the villains in this movie too. There's a very sort of video game feel about them. There's about 5 or 6 of them, and the way that the film is structured in the 3rd act, the list that Speedy and Charlie create is to knock off these bosses one by one. So it has this very video game-like progression towards the last half of the film, and I just thought that that was like a really fun way to structure the finale and conclusion of the film. And I also just want to point out that it feels like a lot of these boss, evil, corporate businessmen characters, they feel more like professionally trained actors than they probably were, because our leads definitely don't seem like they're actors. They're probably more martial artists, but they're cast and used in this film because they can do the stunts needed for a film like this to work. The soundtrack's also really good. It's super catchy. I love the opening theme. It's all very 70s funk rock influenced. It fits the film very well. But overall, I was just really happy with Death Promise. I really liked all of the characters. I liked the structure of the story. I liked the progression of defeating the bosses and moving on to the next one. I liked the stunt work, although it wasn't always filmed and choreographed to perfection. It was still enjoyable to watch. There were rats in the movie. I love rats in movies and rat horror and stuff like that. So there were just so many different sort of ingredients that went into this film that just created the perfect concoction of enjoyment for me. The cover is really cool too, looking at this slipcover. It's pretty representative of what the film is about and what it's like. And of course, as we already looked at the back, and we have a rat here, we'll take it out and you can see the alternate artwork here, which must be an original poster for the film because I didn't see anything like this in this film, and also this does not look anything like our lead character, so it's kind of a weird piece of art, but, you know, that's what they used to advertise it back in the day, I suppose. And here's the inside with the disc. The other artwork that I have behind here is the same as the slipcover art. And that is Death Promise. Very amateur-feeling 70s martial arts film that I felt was very charming and just entertained me in all the right ways. I really liked Death Promise. It took me by surprise. I really didn't think that I would think much of it. You know, usually I'm more interested in Vinegar Syndrome with their horror titles, but I've come to realize that a lot of the action films that they put out on their line are really quite entertaining in their own right. And these are the three: Hitcher in the Dark, All American Murder, and Death Promise. These are my three favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases so far of the year 2021. I'd recommend all of these, but again, like I mentioned, they're favorites of mine, but for a lot of other people, they might not be, but for some, they may be. So it's really hit or miss, give or take. It's, you know, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Now, before this video ends, I would just like to quickly mention a few films here that I've watched that still have limited editions in stock, and they will be on sale for the Halfway to Black Friday sale. So if you want just a couple of quick suggestions for films that I think are good, that if you want to get the limited editions while they're still in stock, now's a great time to do it for this sale. We have Best Friends. This one's been in stock for a while. The Fear. And I just have to stop myself right here and just say that this film actually will not be 50% off for this sale, unfortunately. With that recent change from Vinegar Syndrome, this one is no longer eligible for 50% off on this sale. I'd still recommend the film, but just know that it will not be discounted. This is a 2021 release that just didn't make my top 3, but still one I would recommend overall. Dial Code Santa Claus, one of Vinegar Syndrome's best releases in my opinion, and this one is actually a 4K UHD. Still plenty of these with the slip in stock, and it will be on sale. And Spellcaster, this is a VSA, and once these VSA titles go out of stock, they do not come back in stock. So if you ever want to get Spellcaster, now is the time to do it, because once it's gone for good. And that does it for this video. I want to thank you all for watching and sticking around till the very end here, and I want you to let me know down below what your favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases of 2021 have been. What are your least favorites? What are you looking forward to at the Halfway to Black Friday sale? Anything Vinegar Syndrome related, just talk to me down below. I'd be interested to hear what your opinions are on a lot of these films, or, you know, if you have any other questions about films that you know, aren't sure about. I've watched a lot of them, so just ask me, and maybe I can give you, you know, my thoughts on films maybe you're unsure about. So that's all I have for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you again soon, and I will talk to you later.